Savant.
Oh my stars! Cole Caulfield ties it.
He's in. He scores! Oh my! Demidov!
What's up, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you for tuning in on a brand new episode of the Curfew Boys Podcast. If you're listening to us on YouTube, thank you so much. Please click like and subscribe. It is absolutely free. Share this with your fellow Montreal Canadiens fans near and far. If you're listening on audio platforms such as Apple Podcasts or Spotify, thank you once again. Please leave us an honest rating and review. It's the only way we can feel the love. This episode of the Curfew Boys is sponsored by Habs Cave. To our boy Sunil, a big Montreal Canadiens fan. If you've seen his page, you know that his basement is just full of Montreal Canadiens memorabilia. There's absolutely no gyprock left on the walls. Full of Montreal Canadiens memorabilia. Amazing content, amazing human being. Please give our boy Sunil a follow on Instagram and TikTok. And last but not least, to my buddy Mike in RDP, Mike's Barbecue Rub. He's a Canadian company that creates his own barbecue spices, fish, meat, vegetables. If you can grill it, you could definitely use Mike's Barbecue Rub. He also uses his seasoning for his very famous kettle chips, which are absolutely amazing.
Fantastic.
Give my buddy Mike a follow on Instagram, TikTok. Visit mikesbarbecuerub.com for more information. And his famous slogan, folks, don't forget to rub your meat. I am Sammy with my boy Anthony.
Hey now.
My cousin Chris is supposed to join us in the next couple of minutes. Hopefully, he is running a bit late, but it's Quebec time, I guess. Ant, how are you?
I'm doing well. I'm excited. The season's about to start, Sam. We are just around the corner.
Can't wait.
Rookie camp.
Can't wait. We're gonna be attending that actually on
we will.
Sunday the 13th, I believe, or the 14th.
The 14th. So
whichever the day is. I've lost all track of time.
No, I'm just excited, man. This is the best time of the year. September going into October. I will tell you why when we have our special guest come in, because I want to ask him a question in regards to what I'm about to say. But before we get there, I'm just excited. Fall is here. Fall is coming. I know people hate me when I say that summer's coming to an end, but I enjoy fall.
There's a lot of people that like fall. You mentioned a special guest. Actually, this is going to be an exciting episode because you know what? He is someone that you met and my cousin Chris met at the very, very famous Chris Island golf tournament. Speaking of Chris, he is not the special guest, by the way, but I'm so glad he's tuning in. Ladies and gentlemen,
we got GQ Chris in the house.
We would like to introduce for the first time on the Curfew Boy Podcast, Ken Reid from Sportsnet. How are you, sir?
Good, boys. How we doing? I like the shout out for Sonny. He's a good dude. He drove me home after Knuckles golf tournament.
Did he for real?
Because they locked my clothes in my locker, so I had to wait. And Sunil was nice enough to wait around and then drive me back to the hotel.
The locker at the golf course?
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
No way.
It was like a Three's Company episode. It was a misunderstanding. But it all worked out, and Chris did an awesome job for the Liam Foundation. That was such a cool day. So that was a wicked day.
Honestly, I mean, I'm happy Kevin and Sunil. These guys are great guys. This foundation, it's been annual now. It's 2 years in a row, and it's just amazing to be part of that community. These guys are great guys. They like to support everybody, and the Liam Foundation is a great foundation, especially Nylan, who's an ambassador to that foundation. I mean, you get to meet everybody. We got to meet you at that golf course, and just being all together, just especially for a good cause like Liam, right? So awesome dudes.
Was that your first? Was that the first time you've been to that Chris Island golf tournament?
Yeah.
Okay,
that one. Yeah.
Okay, nice. And what were your thoughts? Like, did you meet?
I loved it, except PJ Stock was there. No, I love PJ. It was cool, man. You're walking around. It's like, I grew up a massive Habs fan. In fact, Chris knows, I've told him a couple times, my mother's favorite player was Chris Nyland. She loved him. So it's cool to be invited to a tournament that's put on by your mom's favorite player, and then you get there and there's all these guys you watched just when you were a kid, and some of them actually know your name, and you get to know them, and they're great fellas, and then you get to meet some wonderful Canadiens fans. And I had a great time with my group. We weren't very good at golf, but we had an absolute blast. And then you see what it's really about when Liam comes out, and it was first class all the way. It was a fantastic time.
Oh, absolutely. We went to the one. I mean, I attended the first one last year, and it's funny because you hear, obviously my parents watched the team in the 70s and the 80s and all that, and my mother's favorite player was Larry Robinson, obviously with the nickname of Big Bird. And part of me is it's times I have imposter syndrome, so I get afraid to like go up to, some of these legendary hockey players. I'm just, because I feel like I don't want to like interrupt them, whoever they're with, but they're there for that too, right? But just seeing him walk right by me, and I'm like, oh my God, that's Larry Robinson. Like, if only my mother was here. My father too loved Larry Robinson. We got to meet, obviously we took pictures with Chris Chelios, that was there too. My father was a fan of his too. So like, it's just, as us, like Habs fans, even though we were born in 1988 and we got to sort of grow up in the darker days of the Montreal Canadiens post Patrick Waugh and all that, like you still, you hear the stories, you watch the videotapes, you watch the highlights, and like, for us, as we're just regular fans from East End Montreal, like we're like, you can't believe like the amount of first of all, the amount of Stanley Cups just in one room, the amount of NHL points, and just the sheer size of legendary statuses amongst the NHL, our favorite game of hockey. It was unbelievable. Like, I could only imagine what it is for like anybody else that's there too. But
I think the cool part is once you get to know the players, you realize that they're just regular guys too. They just happen to be better at hockey.
1,000%.
Exactly. Especially you're sitting on the table with them, just chit chatting. I sat down with Jeff Molson, and we had a normal conversation about nothing about hockey. Just, where are you going on vacation? Because it was in the beginning of July, right? So he was telling us he's leaving soon with his family. He's asking me where I'm going on vacation. I'm sitting with the owner of the Montreal Canadiens, and not 1 second where we talk about the Montreal Canadiens. We're just normal conversation as if I'm talking to my neighbor. You know what I mean? It was like you said it. You said it right. You sit down with these people, and they're just normal people, right?
That's the thing my friends ask me most. What's this guy like? What's that guy like? And I'll say, it's like any other aspect of life. Most people are really good people. You meet the world's best accountant. He's way better at accounting than I am, but he's probably just a normal dude. Probably a nerd because he's an accountant, but still, So, I love getting to meet people that it's an honor. That's the coolest part of my job, is just getting to meet people I never would have had the opportunity to meet, be it viewers or athletes or whomever. But everybody has a story, and when you start talking to these players, there's a lot more amazing stories than just I won a cup or I played for Montreal in 1983. There's a lot that goes into it, and they just like us. Everybody leads pretty complex lives and just trying to make every day as best they can.
Exactly. Question for you. I know it's off topic, but I need to bring this question up, like I said in the opening of our episode, because we haven't recorded an episode yet at week 1, favorite time of the year for me. So yes, I'm a big Habs fan, a big hockey fan, but I'm also a big NFL fan. And this is my favorite time of the year. Kickoff.
That hoodie makes me want to throw up, by the way.
So my question to you, Ken, I would like to know, to our listeners out there, and I'm really hoping you answer right, or else I'm going to disconnect. Are you an NFL fan? If you are, who's your team? Who do you follow? Because this is the best time of the year for now.
I don't think you're going to like my answer. First off, it's a horrible time of the year because I have flashbacks from school when I was a kid, and I hated school with a passion. So I can't agree with you on that. Plus, my birthday is September 6th. My birthday coincided with back to school.
Happy belated birthday. My goodness.
I didn't even like my birthday except for when my couple years when Atlantic Grand Prix Wrestling came to town, and my mother would bring me to wrestling at the Pictou exhibition, which was awesome. Wow. Leo Burke was the big baby face back in the day. He might have wrestled a little bit in Montreal and International, but yes, enjoy the NFL. That Buffalo Baltimore game was insane. Do I have a team? The answer is no. When I grew up in Atlantic, Canada, in the Maritimes in the 80s, the NFL was there, but it wasn't the behemoth it is today. So it was on Sundays, and that was about all the thought I gave it. I grew up Habs and Expos, right? I was a baseball guy. I was a hockey guy. The NFL was just kind of there. It's gotten massive over the years. Am I a fan of the league? Yeah, I'm a big fan of the product. They do it better than anybody. But is there a team that I have to sit down and watch every Sunday? No, there is not. Sorry to burst your bubble.
I like that answer more than because you're from Toronto and a lot of Toronto fans
like Buffalo.
Like Buffalo. So I was hoping
Ken's not from Toronto. Ken's not from Toronto. It's very important to note that.
Right, Chris.
Atlantic Canada.
Canada. Sorry.
I just live in Toronto.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But a lot of people that live in Toronto are Buffalo fans. So
no, you're absolutely right.
I was hoping not to get that answer. So you saying you're not a fan of a team, let's leave it at that. We can move on to the next topic. As long as I don't... Sorry?
He passed the test.
Yeah. Exactly. You passed the test.
Awesome.
Chris,
awesome.
Chris, welcome. You've had some technical difficulties, but you're finally here. So
how many shows have we done? We've done like 500 plus shows. I think this is the first time in all of our recordings that this happens to me, of course. But anyways, look, I'm here now. We've got a wonderful guest, Ken, on my behalf. Thank you very much for taking the time with us, and looking forward. We got a handful of questions for you, I think. Right, boys?
Yeah, we're also just gonna, excuse the language, but we'll shoot the shit. Talk about the best team in hockey history and still the best team currently. I don't care what anybody says, but Chris, kick it off. Go for it. Don't mean to put you on the spot, but go for it.
Well, we just found out, and we made it maybe public, at least on our show, that is, that Ken, you grew up a Habs fan. So, we're losing legends here. There's been a lot going on in the hockey world, but all this to say is, did you have a childhood hero? Did you have a go-to Habs player that you grew up watching, idolizing, and so on and so forth?
It's a easy question, not necessarily a complicated answer, but I didn't have one. I had a lot. So the first love was Guy, right? Guy Lafleur. I was born in '74. So for me, and I'll be honest, Wayne's my guy too, Gretzky. I go to the Church of Wayne. I was one of those guys, pardon me, I'm just going to plug my phone in.
No problem.
I was one of those guys that I loved the Habs, but I was also just smart enough to know that, wow, I'm growing up at a pretty special time because this Wayne Gretzky guy, there's not going to be a Wayne Gretzky every day of the week. So I'm going to enjoy Wayne as well. But Guy was my first guy. Guy was my first hockey crush. Mom and Dad went to the Forum with Donnie and Leanna Clark on the night that Guy retired, and they gave out the little painter hats.
Mm-hmm.
They brought me back a poster. I had already had the jersey. So Guy was my go-to guy. I used to go to my grandmother's and grandma's Saturday nights, and then I'd make egg salad sandwiches, and I would pray that the Habs were on. And if they weren't on in English, I would watch on SRC, right? Le Soir d'Hockey Molson. I'd watch that, right?
Yeah.
So I'd watch Guy. Then as I get older, Mike McPhee. I loved Mike McPhee because Mike McPhee was from Nova Scotia. And I thought, man, if he's from River Bourgeois, Nova Scotia, I could make the NHL. So Mike McPhee, number 35, number 35, Mike McPhee. I got his PSA 10 rookie card right
Did you have his little doll? You know those little figurines?
Yes.
With the little
stick?
Was that what it's called? Proviso or some store?
Oh my God, I forgot who made them, but there was like the Patrickwa, there was
They're in my closet.
Yeah.
They're in my closet. But there's Mike. Where's Mike? There he is.
Wow.
Yeah.
PSA 10. And there's the autograph rookie of Mike. So Mike was big. And then there was another guy I loved. I'm giving you guys like a tour of the basement. This is kind of cool.
I'm just a little.
So Neil's got competition, just for the record.
I was thinking that Habs Cave has a competition. I love it.
The other guy I loved, number 26, number 26, Mats Naslund. I love Mats.
Nice.
The little Viking was awesome.
Our Uncle Joe, Chris, our Uncle Joe was a massive Naslund fan, by the way.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. He enjoyed watching him, too.
And
Big
then
time.
44, Stéphane Richer.
Mhm.
Like the fact that a French-Canadian sniper came along and scored 50 goals for the Habs. I love Stefan. I love Shane Corson and what Van Sepp because the first time I ever watched the World Juniors was on CBC, and Shane was a Montreal draft pick, they said. So I went towards Shane Corson, but I mean, Knuckles. I love what Knuckles did. I love Brian Screwlin. I mean, there was just so many guys. Like the Montreal Canadiens were like Lay's potato chips for me, right? I couldn't pick just one. And
I love it.
Guys would come along and I just connect with them, but it seemed like every guy I just kind of made this connection with because I was so diehard Montreal. But like I could go season by season and almost name you my favorite guy from each season from about 84 on. But when McPhee made the team from the Nova Scotia Voyageurs, that was big. Guy, I mean, I can't remember him scoring 50 goals. I watched it. I know I watched it, right? My rubber boots and my hockey stick. But I can't point it out to you. But, I mean, and then Patrick Waugh comes along in 86, and the 86 run was incredible. I was in the 6th grade. I made a $1 bet with Vernon Galbraith that Montreal would beat Calgary, and they did. So I was, and then 93 was awesome. Sammy, I was telling you before we came on that I went to game 1 in 93. Me and some buddies drove up.
Wow.
In my buddy Sandy's Dodge Caravan. Guess how much we paid for scalpers tickets to get into game 1?
Oh my God. Okay.
Well, prices like today.
93 first off.
Well,
so I'm gonna
go maybe
probably $200, $300 a ticket. I wouldn't be surprised if it was.
I have $300-$400 in mind. I'm trying to think 1993 prices.
We're way up top. We're way up top on the side.
Okay. Okay, let's go 500 max.
I'll say no. I'll say 150. Exactly, not 500. That's today's not.
I'm just.
That's $100. $100.
See,
should have stayed for game 2.
Insane. That's insane.
I wish, but the only thing I remember for 93, because we're 88, so I was what?
Speak for not all of us. 92, October 92 over here.
So you're 1 year old.
Baby. God.
Only thing I remember.
Wow.
Only thing I remember was the final game, LA Montreal. I was watching the game with my whole family and my uncles and everybody, and I was wearing LA Kings socks. Don't ask why, but I was wearing LA Kings socks. Big Habs fan. They won, the Montreal Canadiens, and that's where my superstitious cycle craziness started. Because they won, and I was wearing the opposite team. As you know, Sammy, Chris, Joey especially knows how crazy I get when it comes to sports and my superstitious. If I'm drinking a Coke, that Coke is staying the whole fucking series, let me tell you. So, and that all started in 93 when they won, when I was wearing the LA Kings socks.
Wow. So I used to make my sister dress up in Montreal gear and watch the games with me. So she became a Habs fan. So
that's the way to do
it. and then you go to 93. Like I love John LeClair. Love John.
Yeah.
And, I'll name drop. He's a buddy now. And, I love Gilbert Dion.
Mm-hmm.
And like we were saying, when you meet these guys, and I'm lucky enough, I participate in the Eric Lindros charity tournament here every year, and Johnny's always there. And you realize, wow, my God, John LeClair is just some dude named John who scored 50 goals at will. It's pretty cool. But yeah, it's kind of hard to put in perspective how big the Montreal Canadiens were to me in my childhood, because I was what is known in the English community as a geek. So I spent a lot of time in my room watching the Habs, going through my Habs cards, and just loving the Montreal Canadiens. And then it's funny, when I went to Knuckles tournament, I sent my brother the poster, and I'm like, look at this poster that I'm on. This makes no sense. I'm on this poster with all these Montreal Canadiens. And I don't know if you guys saw that night, but when they're doing the announcements of all the celebrities, they just said, we're going to introduce all the Montreal Canadiens. And then they just go out of nowhere, Ken Reid. And I just stood up and I waved. And then
of course.
Like, they can. I didn't make it look like I was a broadcaster. I was just like, yeah, I'll be a Habs tonight. That's cool.
Of course. I would have taken that and ran with it.
Oh, yeah.
I love how you mentioned how like these guys, they're just normal guys, and they that's how they want to be perceived, even though they had quite a historic career, whatnot. It's the same way we felt the three of us, we met Shane Corson in the Habs cave. And honestly, like if you were to meet Shane Corson, you would think he's like maybe a teacher.
He looks like a high school
or
teacher.
like he looks like a teacher. Just I don't know why. Like if I had no idea who he was and no idea about the profession, I would think, oh, maybe he's a university or
He had his
a teacher.
glasses on. His
Yeah,
round
he
glasses.
just
Those
yeah,
square glasses,
exactly.
the cardigan.
Yeah.
And like he was just so nice. So like he was sharing his stories. Obviously it was amazing.
Yeah.
We met Rick Green, we met Sergio Momesso, what's his name, Brad from the Expos, Brad Wilkins. Goodness. We met Brad Wilkinson too. You speak of the Expos, like just my heart just shattered in a million
Oh my
pieces.
God. I honestly still can't speak of the Expos without pain. Like,
I don't think any of us could.
94 to me was the most painful thing ever. It ruined
Oh,
baseball for me for 10 years. Honest to God, I couldn't even. There's a 10-year, and I love baseball so much. There's a 10-year stretch where I'm like, I can't watch, and I hated the Blue Jays, right? Because there's a story, and like I was a big time Expos fan. All my Expos stuff's over that side of the room. Here, come on over. My phone's gonna die if I don't get her good, but there's the Hawk, right?
Oh wow,
Hawk and Gary, and then we got Charlie Lee, and there's my boy Gary. I got a lot of Gary Carter here, boys. I think I might have a problem.
Nope.
And there's the guy, the Rock. I love the Rock, but
yeah.
yeah. So they wanted us to sing "Okay Blue Jays" when I was in school. At Mrs. Burns' music class. And I'm like, no, I'm not singing that. And I get all upset. It's like, it's not that I don't want to participate. I'm just not a Blue Jays fan.
Yeah, no.
So 94 was just pure pain when that happened. It was crap. It should never have come to that. And a strike.
Unfortunate.
Yeah,
baseball. And then they had to get everybody on the juice to make everybody love baseball again, right?
My goodness. My love for baseball died when the Expos left in
Don't blame you.
I was playing it as a kid. I loved it.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened. I don't know what happened. Pretty much, my favorite team, they were called Nos Amurers, like our loved ones, for a reason. And then when they left, I felt like my love for the sport went with them, and
because, and I'm gonna guess you, Sammy, if you're like me, you didn't want them to leave, but you were probably beat down from, I don't know, 15 years of them going, we got great prospects, they become good players, they're gone. Great players, good players, they're gone. You're the best team in baseball, baseball strikes. Baseball made no effort to keep them there. The crappy stadium. There was so much that was good about the Expos, and it's almost like, I don't know, when you're young and you have a great car, but you don't change the oil, you don't change the tires.
Yeah.
By the end you're like, yeah, I gotta get this car out of here.
No.
Like it was sad. It was really sad.
Oh, absolutely. Like Vladdy was our boy, and when he left, I was like, forget it. Then you would go to the games where it was like $10-15, $2 hot dogs to
$3,000 in there, 3,000 people. Yeah,
not even, like, it was so discouraging.
Getting tickets for free in elementary school. They were getting rid of them.
Yeah, it was sad. Like towards that end, like
I used to drive to Verdun every summer, stay at Aunt Dick and Uncle Pete's.
Okay,
and we'd go to the Expos games. And I'll remember my first game, 82, was Expos Astros. Under Dawson's on first base, and I go to Uncle Pete's. Does Dawson ever steal? Boom, he stole that pitch. And like I just loved my Expos, and it's still like I don't know, like it's better to have loved than lost than to never have loved at all. But for Expos fans, like when we see it's kind of like you want to lean on each other's shoulders. You're like, it just wasn't fair. Worst breakup ever,
Couldn't agree more. Go, Anthony.
Ken, question for you. I mean, we want to know, ask the listeners. I mean, we've seen stories online and stuff, but the love for broadcasting. I mean, I can tell right away with all the knowledge you have in sports and the love you have in sports, but tell us about, how you got into broadcasting, how it started, what you did to get to that point. Was it something that you always wanted to do? Was that?
Yeah, there's an Expos connection. So,
okay.
It would have been, I don't know, I'm guessing I was probably 8. I was trying out for the Novice 1 team in my hometown of Pictou, and I didn't make the Novice 1 team. And I was devastated. And I thought, And that's when the first time in my life I knew I wasn't going to play in the NHL, because I thought, well, if I can't make the novice one team in this little hick town, I'm never going to make the NHL. And I expressed those feelings to my dad. And there was a game on TV. I want to say it was an Expos game, but the timeline maybe doesn't write up. But there was a game on, and my dad said, well, the commentators get paid to be there. And I was like, ding, light bulb at like age 8 or 9.
Wow.
Which was awesome because I knew what I wanted to do. But it wasn't awesome because my dad was a doctor. And when you're a doctor's kid, you're supposed to be smart. But from that moment on, I didn't give a crap about school. So I was a shitty student. Every other doctor's kid's top of the class right up there. And I didn't care because all I wanted to do was this. And I knew what I wanted to do. And I fell in love with the broadcasters as much as I fell in love with the athletes. Like, I got my Dave Van Horn signed ball over there from the Expos. And I loved Bob Cole. I loved Danny Gallivan. One of the true pleasures of my life is I get to play in the Danny Gallivan Cystic Fibrosis Golf Tournament every year in Halifax. I go back and I MC that.
Nice.
And I always knew what I wanted to do. Studied journalism, went to school for it, got out of school, took a job, started volunteering as a play-by-play guy in the Maritime Junior A Hockey League. Awesome fight league back in the day. Like, wicked. Dennis Bonby came out of that league. Aaron Downey came out of that league. They were a little before me, but some toughies came out of there.
Wow.
And then the big gig was to be the host of the Halifax Mooseheads games across the harbor. And did that for a couple of years, moved to Calgary, started as a morning writer, worked my way up to weeknight anchor, and then went Calgary, Ottawa, Edmonton, came to Toronto end of 2008, and got the Sportsnet gig 14 years ago. Here we are.
That's
You are
beautiful.
the face. You are literally, and I know evidently we're a little bit more hockey oriented. We'll call a spade, but you are the face of the post game show for every single playoff game across Canada. To hear, you gave a little bit of a criticism to yourself, and now I'm going to give you some love back.
Mm-hmm.
It's so inspiring when you hear stories like that, where somebody has dedicated themselves to their passion, and now, really, if you look at it, you are the go-to person in the hockey world across Canada, so that we can get our highlights after it's not just every playoff game. I think the playoff games are just on steroids. You want to know everything that's going on, but it's just, you're the guy. That's incredible. I love
Thanks,
that.
Chris. Appreciate that, buddy.
Yeah.
I never think of it that way. I just think of it as a gig. It's a job. I love it. And I'm fortunate to, like, people say, what do you do? I go, I do the same thing as everybody else. I just sit there and talk about hockey. And when the game's over, I get to talk about it and I get paid for it. So it's awesome. I love it.
But that's that cliche where we say, if you love what you do, you don't call it work. I mean, this is how we started doing this podcast. I mean, we're just five friends talking hockey every day on a group chat. And then COVID hit, and I pressed record one day, and here we are 5 years later, recording for our fans, and we build fans, and now we're, meeting people like you, which we were fortunate. So we don't call this work. We call this love for our passion, right? So
passion project.
I'm the same. And it's funny because people say, oh, how much do you research before a show? And do you do this and do that? And it's like, of course I research, but you guys know your whole life's research. You're just, it is what you know. Like, and the other thing is, I don't try to come on and do anything that I don't know. I don't try to talk about stuff I don't really know about. So that makes it easier on the nerves and stuff like that. And yeah, I just watch hockey and react. And it's still very surreal. Like the first time you meet Ron McLean and he knows your name, or when you're working with Don Cherry and Don calls you by name. That took me a while to get over, like that I'm kind of on this stage, and then you got to realize, oh, I'm kind of here because I belong here. I'm not just here because I'm just some dork from a small town that likes hockey. Like, I work for it. I'm here because I deserve to be. And then that gives you a boost of confidence. Like the first time I did Hockey Night in Canada, I was just like, oh my God. And I got to do it in Montreal at the Bell Center. And I was just, holy smokes, I'm going to be hosting. I'm the rinkside reporter for this, and you question yourself. I'll tell you guys this story, and you're like, well, can I do this? So I know I got the gig for like 3 months, and I'm stressing out and stuff. And leading up to the game, I'm studying. I'm way over prepared, right? But I'm still nervous, and my nerves are going, and I'm like, oh, do I really deserve to be here? So there was no pregame skate that day, so we didn't meet with the coaches or anything like that. And we meet with the producer at 5. He's like, okay, Ken, at 6:38, you're going to walk onto the Canadiens bench. The Habs are going to come out, and then Kirk Muller's going to come meet. You're going to interview Kirk live for like a minute and a half. I'm like, okay, that's good. So, I'm thinking, what can I ask Kirk? What can I ask Kirk? And I had known Kirk. I'd done some charity golf tournaments with him here in Toronto, and such a super guy, like the most personable guy ever. And, it's getting closer to the game. So they say, okay, go out in the Habs bench, and they do the sound check. And I'm out on the Habs bench doing the sound check on my ear, and I can hear Ron and everything. Then the Montreal Canadiens come storming out as I'm on the bench and the light show starts. And I just had this moment of, what in the hell am I doing here? Like, this is childhood dream. And I get nervous. And then Kirk comes out, and he's got assistant coach face on. He's walking like this. He looks up at that, and he just goes, Reader, what are you doing here? And I'm like, And I thank Kirk for that, because he just took every ounce of nervousness or tension out of my soul. And I'm just like, hey, Kirky, I'm just going to talk to you about the hockey game. And that's what we did. And it was an awesome night. And it just went from there. So, yeah, I was questioning, do I belong? And I did. And I did well. And it was a great night. But thank you, Kirk Muller.
No, but it's crazy how
cool.
It's crazy how you, as a broadcaster, feeling that at that moment, and granted, like, you're there, you're part of it. So I could just imagine what you felt, because us fans being at the Bell Center when the lights shut down and all those the light show goes on, and we hear, Coldplay play.
Yeah.
And we freak out just as normal fans. I could just imagine you're feeling like times 30, like times 40, or times whatever you want to call it. But
yeah,
it must be surreal, because if we feel it as fans, I can't imagine what you felt.
feel it. But you know what's awesome was, after the game, my dad called. He's like, you did a great job in the game. Like, he goes, but why did you turn the lights off at the start? I'm like, Dad, I don't control the power grid at the Bell Center. Because so many people think when you're on TV that you're responsible for everything they see. And I'm like, Dad, no.
You should have gone along with it. Be like, I just wanted to see how the remote worked. I wanted to see if the signal was strong enough from the bottom and all that.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
that's awesome. Really appreciate you sharing that with
my phone.
No, don't sweat it.
The power button.
Don't sweat it at all. I really want your opinion on this, Ken. I think this past weekend has been one of the toughest ones amongst Habs Nation, amongst Habs fans everywhere.
Yeah.
Friday, we get the news. We knew it was coming, but we get the news that Carey Price, the goalie of our generation, they finally trade his contract. They get rid of that $10.5 million on the cap.
Yep.
And Chris and I, we were hanging out at his girlfriend's cottage with little to no reception. And already, like, him and I were feeling down in the dumps. Like I said, it had to get done for call it, for lack of a better term, for business reasons. But we selfishly wanted Price to stay with the Canadiens, just so he still, quote unquote, belonged to us. But anyways, we get it. Then I don't know how I managed to get reception real quick. The devastating news of Ken Dryden's passing. Like, it was one of those things where, like, could this weekend get any worse? Not just amongst Habs Nation, but within the hockey community, within the country of Canada too. Because I personally think Ken Dryden is not just a Montreal Canadiens icon, but he's a Canadian icon as well. So, I mean, you talked about highlights on Sportsnet that, like, Carey Price, just say what you want. The guy probably had many highlight of the nights on TV just with his saves. So, like, I like your take on, like, maybe what you think of Carey Price, like, and what he probably brought to the game as far as goaltending. And then we definitely like to hear your thoughts on Ken Dryden, what he meant to at least not just a province and a city, but definitely a nation.
Yeah. With Carey, I mean, it's just a business transaction, right? So you guys don't let your wallets get in the way of your heart. He's a Montreal Canadian. I don't think anyone's going to recall him as the San Jose Shark. Let's face it, he's never going to put the sweater on. He's never going to skate out of the Shark's mouth. That's just a business transaction. But Carey was a guy, I think he was a generational goaltender. He was just caught in the game at a time when there were 30, 31 teams. And when there's 30, 31 teams, it's really hard to win a Stanley Cup. We're seeing that with Connor McDavid right now.
Oh my God.
It was hard to win a Stanley Cup when there were 21 teams. It was hard to win a Stanley Cup when there were 6 teams. I think if you took Carey Price and put him in another generation, he might have been a multiple-time Stanley Cup winner. He and Shea Weber basically willed that Habs team to the Cup final during that lockout season. There's my son Jacoby. He's a goalie too, and there's Langdon. They're just peeking around. But they, and let's face it, Carey and Shea, they paid the price for that playoff run physically. Yeah. Carey was a special goalie. I remember when he was drafted 5th overall. I was at that draft, and that was the Sidney Crosby draft. So everything other than that was just kind of, it is what it is. And I remember me and some other members in the media being kind of in shock that Montreal took this goalie 5th overall, so he must be good. And he was. And to play in the pressure cooker of Montreal, it's funny. People talk about pressure of playing in Toronto. Give me a break. There's no pressure playing in Toronto. You want pressure, you go to Montreal where you have to do the interviews in both languages when you're, and there's the expectation that you have to win. Here, I mean, I think if you're a Toronto Maple Leaf, and I've talked to guys who've played for the Leafs, if you're on the second line or below, you can walk around town. Nobody knows. If you're a Montreal Canadian, I don't know, but in Montreal, there's almost that European press kind of feel where, like, if you're out to dinner, they're taking pictures of you and stuff like that. It's not like that here in Toronto for the Leafs, as far as I'm concerned. But I mean,
you might be getting death threats at your house, like Mitch Marner. But sorry, did I say that out loud?
That was awful. But anyways,
we won't get into that.
No.
But I think Carey played under tremendous pressure, especially as the goalie in Montreal. And he's a Hall of Famer. The fact that he's going to San Jose means absolutely nothing to me. It's just an on-paper transaction.
Mm-hmm.
As for Ken Dryden, different, as he said, in a good way. A guy who wrote the definitive book on the game called The Game. A guy who could a guy who could hang out with one of an all-time beauty such as Pete Mahovlich. I love Mahov, and Mahov and Kenny couldn't be more different, right? Mahov's loud and a joker, and Kenny's cerebral and thoughtful.
Yeah.
But they could make it work together. I think Kenny was still severely underrated. You win 4 cups in a row at the end of his career, goes out a Vezina, a Conn Smythe his last year in a cup. And when you're the backbone of the Montreal Canadiens and you know that your guys are going to be flying up the ice, you probably know that you're going to get some pretty good chances against you. Granted, they would outshoot everybody, but when you got to make 25 to 30 saves a night and you consistently do it, there's something to that. And there are good team goalies, good bad team goalies, and Kenny was a good team goalie. The story of him winning the Vezina before he wins the Conn Smythe, or the Conn Smythe before he wins the Vezina, is incredible. Coming out of nowhere from the Voyageurs to win that cup with Al McNeil is an incredible story. A Cornell guy takes a year off hockey to go to university, and just I heard I was at an NHL luncheon the other day, and someone telling me Ken Dryden once hitchhiked to Alaska. And I'm like, yeah, that makes sense.
Wow.
Because he seems like the kind of guy that would just I think I'll hitchhike to Alaska to see what that's like. And I had the honor of meeting him and interviewing him a couple times, and just to sit in his presence, Ken could talk, but when if you just talked and you didn't listen, you wouldn't learn much. But if you listened, you could learn a ton. He was so smart.
Yeah.
Last time I saw him I had the honor of emceeing an event at the Hockey Hall of Fame. I think the panel, it was for the 72 series, and the panel was all Habs. It was Mahov, Cournoyer, Savard, Lapointe, and Dryden. And we just sat in the Hockey Hall of Fame. And, you think Ken Dryden is this cerebral guy, which he was, but as soon as I walked up to him, he said, "Where's Osmac?" So he could get along with anybody. And I think that says a lot about Ken Dryden, but and a guy that always, unlike me, who glorifies the past, I think Ken always looked to the future and how can we make the game better? How can the game evolve? You got clowns like me saying it was always better in the olden days. Maybe it was, maybe it wasn't, but he had Ken going, well, there's some concussion issues out there, and like he wanted to address the real issues, and just a brilliant man, and hockey and Canada a lot better for having Ken Dryden in it.
You know what? I just want to say one thing. I I'm also a big music fan, and I love Rush.
Yeah,
So, and playing drums in my younger days, Neil Peart or Neil Peart, however you pronounce it, he kind of like was my hero in the music world. I feel like those two, like as far as it's there's something about those two highly educated, well-spoken Canadians, master at their crafts, but they were different than the tip. Like I'll use Neil
yeah.
Peart. I'll
Neil
use Neil
Peart was a
Peart.
student of drumming, right?
Whereas Ken Dryden was, I think, was a student of the game, but like you know, I mean, you would never like the stories you hear him showing up with his law books, like he was different. You know, drummers in the rock and roll world, they're
They're
not
goalies.
they're not authors. They don't write books. They
Yeah.
don't travel. They don't travel on their bikes and during their tour. You know what I mean? It's all about the term sex, drugs, and rock and roll. But Neil Peart was different in that time. I feel like those two, like I think those two are also Canadian icons, and yeah, it's like I unfortunately never had the pleasure of meeting him. I don't know if any of the boys have, but like you hear the stories and like just like you watch the highlights as well, and we talk about Ken Dryden in the Summit series, and he was a big role, but like I think also too the fact that he took part in the game against the Soviets or the Red Army at that time, considered one of the best hockey games probably ever played. He was
Yeah.
part of that too with Tretiak. You know what I mean? Like these are hockey souvenirs, I like to call them. They're memories that are going to last a lifetime, whether you live through them or you got to watch highlights or old tapes of them, however you want to call it. Like it's yeah, I truly agree with you that hockey in Canada is a better place because of guys like Ken Dryden.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's sad. Like
Well,
a couple of months, not even a month or something ago, he sends a message to Lane Hudson saying, "Congratulations." He gives
yeah.
a well thought speech, and like you had no idea what he was
None.
going through. None. He
Nobody
kept
did.
no.
That's so Ken Dryden to keep it private like that. That's who he was. Do you know the Montreal Canadiens Rush connection? Do you know what that is? You guys? Steve Shutt, you know this story?
I've met Steve Shutt, but no, I did not know this story.
Steve Shutt and Geddy Lee went to school together. They were like
Okay.
among best buddies as kids.
Okay.
It's the
Yeah.
back of one of those rock magazines. It says buy a bass guitar. Steve and Geddy both buy basses. They get them
Nice.
on the Friday. Geddy goes home. Steve goes home. Steve plucks his bass all weekend. Geddy comes to school on Monday with his bass. Steve can hardly play a note. Geddy's like, boom, 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 boom.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
Steve Shutt goes, I guess I'm a hockey player. I guess you're a rock star. So
That is
they're
so
both
cool.
Hall of Famers.
I know. I met Steve
Wow.
Shutt 2-3 years ago. He was a great guy. Great
Ask him
guy.
about Geddy Lee next time.
He during the summer he lives in the town I live in right now. So if I run into him, I'll definitely ask him that for sure.
Yeah. So they're both Hall of Famers. But yeah, getting back to Kenny, it's amazing, man. And to get to share some time with him that night talking about the 72 series, like he could articulate what it meant, right? Like he could talk about the pressure, the relief, like better than anyone could. And just to have a storyteller like that also be like the best goalie of his generation, what a gift.
Absolutely. That's why I have his books right behind me. I read Scotty. I'm finishing
Scotty didn't even know he was sick.
I know.
Crazy.
And I think about him. I think about Yvan Cournoyer. That like I can only imagine what Yvan Cournoyer must be thinking. That he's slowly losing his friends. You know, it's like I don't even want to imagine what he's going through as well. But like all of them, everybody that knew him, his family, his friends, old teammates. Yeah, rest in peace, Ken Dryden.
They leave. Look, there's no shortage of a legacy there, and we've said it multiple times, like what he contributed to the game. We just finished, and not to shift gears because it's not an easy topic to move on from, but to maybe bring it to a more positive light and bring it back to today's game. All of Montreal has been blessed Montreal's been blessed with amazing goaltenders for as long as the game has pretty much existed in this city. And we talk about Price, we talk about Dryden, we talk about Roy, but in maybe getting your not expert opinions, but evidently you have a clear in and a way better understanding of the game and a like all access pass to what goes on in the NHL. I think this is the first time in a long time, similar to when Dryden played, where he's actually going to have where our goalies are actually going to have a fantastic team ahead of them. I'm just curious to see what your perspective on the Montreal Canadiens are as of today and where they're heading maybe in the next couple of years, because I know our fans are dying, are going to be fast forwarding to this part potentially or rewinding to this part to hear your perspective on the matter.
Well, you deserve something, that's for sure. The power play last year was, to me, the most dynamic power play to watch in the National Hockey League. I'm in love with the addition of Noah Dobson to the blue line. Big right-handed defenseman, PEI boy. I think Noah Dobson immediately makes Lane Hutson such a better player, if that's possible. I really like Sammy Montembeault in goal. I love that the Habs have taken their time with him.
Yeah.
How old's Sammy now? 25, maybe? Something like that?
Yeah, I think he's got to be 27, 28. He's not far from 30.
Goalies take time to mature. By the way, I'm a goalie expert.
He's 28.
My son's a goalie in minor hockey. How old is he?
28.
28. There you go.
28.
Yeah.
Okay. That's a long time to mature.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a long apprenticeship. So it's time for him to go. But my only concern is it's a big boys league when the playoffs roll around.
Yeah.
Florida Panthers showed us that. And it's a copycat league. So everybody's going to try to copycat the Florida Panthers. So when it comes time to play big boy hockey, will the Montreal Canadiens be able to play big boy hockey in the playoffs? And that's the question. And to me, 28 of the 32 teams all look the same. How do you differentiate yourself and be one of those top 4 teams? Well, they have a dynamic power play. Okay, they got that. They have one of the most dynamic defensemen in the National Hockey League. But I think by adding Dobson to that blue line, you just get a good right-handed shot, a big guy who has huge offensive upside, who's also kind of underrated. I think he takes so much pressure off Lane Hutson. So I think Dobson makes them a lot better. But I just think the question for me is, can they play big boy hockey when the playoffs roll around? There's still some additions I think that need to be made to the roster for that. But there's no doubt in my mind that they should be a playoff team. Like, I have no doubt about that. But to me, there's 2 seasons. There's the season to make the playoffs, and once the playoffs begin. And living in a market like Toronto, I can tell you what teams are made for the playoffs and what teams are not made for the playoffs. I always said about Kyle Dubas, I would gladly let him put my fantasy hockey team together. I would never let him put my real life team together. Remember when you would play Remember when you would play the old Nintendo hockey? And you could choose the fat guy, the medium guy, or the skinny guy.
Yes. I remember that game. Yes.
The skinny guys fly. And the skinny guys are going to rack up the points, but you need a couple fatsos there to open it up for you, right?
Oh, God, I remember that game. I used to love it. It was that one and Blades of Steel. Those were
right. Blades of Steel, fight.
Yeah,
so if the Montreal Canadiens can add a couple of those hefty Nintendo players to open up for the little guys, I like them a lot. If they're just the little tiny speedy Nintendo players, don't like them.
I freaking love that analogy. That's so awesome. I think the expectations are for them to pick up from where they left off, especially Demidov, Hudson, and just carry on. The expectations in Montreal, especially amongst the fan bases, if they to make the playoffs.
I just want them to play. I want them to play 5-on-4 all year so I can watch their power play. Like at the end of the year, I'm like, I can watch this all night long.
It's been so long. We haven't, like, you know what I mean? Like, you said it right, because last year was the first time in a long time we were finally enjoying the power play. We couldn't wait to see a 5-on-4. Before that, we were like, okay, it's power play. Who cares? You know?
Yeah, they need some chubby Nintendo guys though.
We need size.
So awesome.
But every team needs those guys, right? Like if those guys 100%. Are tough to find, I often wonder if the game's going to slow down a little bit because more teams are kind of realizing, well, you kind of do need the big guys. But if you can find a big guy that skate, like I was at the final last year, and the thing with Florida was every line played the same. No line looked different than the other line.
Absolutely.
And, like it was like it was like fighting a guy that just didn't want to give up and kept throwing punches. So I think that's kind of what won last year. What'll win this year? Well, people will obviously try to copy it.
He's got Arbor Jackeye.
I'm a big fan of Arbor Jackeye. He's my favorite player on the Montreal Canadiens. I know Ivan Demidov and Lane Hudson are going to steal the show in terms of putting up points, but Arbor Jackeye is just what the doctor ordered for the Canadiens, and I stand by that until the day I die. I bought myself a little Arbor Jackeye. There we go.
You know what Arbor Jackeye is? And I say, this is what you need to win in the National Hockey League. People go, oh, you're so archaic. He's a defense man. Yeah. He's not a defender. He's a defense man. He plays like a man back there. If you got Arbor Jackeye's old school. Mm-hmm. He's going to make you pay the price as much as one can make you pay the price this year. Yeah. These days. It's different from back in the day when Garth Butcher would bend his Easton aluminum stick over your back and not get it down. But he plays tough. He plays big. He plays heavy. He's the kind of player you need in the playoffs. So there you go. The 2 seasons. Is Arbor Jackeye going to thrill you with his highlights during the regular season? No. He's going to get in a couple tilts. He'll block some shots. But when the playoffs roll around and we on TV start talking about all these character guys that you win with that we somehow don't talk about all year, we're talking about Arbor Jackeye. Those are the kind of guys you win with in the playoffs.
Two more questions, and then we're going to call it an episode. There's rumors once again circulating that maybe Crosby will end up with the Canadiens. Do you think that? I personally don't think it's going to happen.
Where'd you get those from? The same guy that said McDavid to the Leafs?
well, apparently now, Pat Brisson, Crosby's agent, saying not that he hinted anything, but it's like he made it obvious that they know that there's Crosby's name is connected with the Canadiens and all that. I personally don't think it's going to happen, but you mentioned Kyle Dubas too. It's like, I wonder if he's going to trade Crosby at all. Obviously, Crosby's got a no movement clause, so he's got to waive it first. He needs.
But his agent did say, sorry to cut you off, but his agent did say today, I don't know if you saw the comment is he deserves to be in the playoffs every year.
Yes.
Well, of course he does. I mean, that's not a bold statement. You guys are starting to sound like chat room fans. No. Getting a little worried here. Conspiracy theories and stuff like that.
I don't think it's going to happen, but it's just like, do you think Crosby finishes his career with Pittsburgh at least?
I think Sidney Crosby finishes his career wherever he wants to finish his career. That would be my statement on that.
It's a good enough answer for me.
If you followed what Crosby has said over the years, that's a very, very happy statement for us right here as Habs fans.
Oh, yeah. Okay. All right. Well, his dad was drafted by the Habs.
Yeah. Yes, he was. Yes, he was.
You go.
Like I said.
No, I think he's in Pittsburgh.
I've said it since day one. He's the Mario Lemieux of the Pittsburgh Penguins. I think he starts and ends it there, and he's just the face of Pittsburgh. Yeah. And I don't see him leave. Now, do I want him here? I'm not like everybody else that wanted him, like, oh my God, I'll be happy. I don't think he fits the core of what we're trying to build.
Sidney Crosby fits whatever the hell he wants to. He definitely still, to me, he's still the best player in the world. He showed that in the 4
1,000%. He's still, I love McDavid. No disrespect to him. Crosby is still
the best player.
Let me rephrase that. What I mean, I think he'd be perfect in our team. But if you're going to get rid of our players that we're trying to build this dynasty just to fit him in for a year or two, I don't think it's worth it. That's unless we're getting him for free, which is not possible. Like then that's what I mean by he doesn't fit. I don't want to get rid of these big names because I'm sure Pittsburgh's going to want a good hefty price for Crosby.
Pittsburgh's going to try to get Gavin McKenna in this upcoming draft if Kyle Dubas decides to pull triggers on those trades and all that. But
so that's what I mean by he doesn't fit. That's what I mean by he doesn't fit is I don't want to get rid of major assets for Crosby unless we're winning we have potential to win the cup this year, the year that we get him. Then yes, let's put him in to help the win. But I don't see us winning anytime soon. So why risk our future for Crosby? That's how I see it, but could be wrong.
Final question, Ken. What is Ken Reid up to these days heading into, I guess, the new NHL season? Baseball season is slowly coming to an end. Go for it.
Busiest fall on record. I'm so old that I keep a physical day planner. It's awful looking. It's booked up heavy. So we got baseball playoffs wrapping up. Mm-hmm. I got a book that's due to be finished by January 1st.
Nice.
But most importantly, if this is the type of time of the podcast to plug something, my new book, the next one, Hidden Talent Remote Rinks, stories about NHL and hockey scouts, comes out October 21st from Simon & Schuster. And it's stories of old school NHL scouts, how they find players, how they found their jobs. So you guys know those guys in the trench coat up at the top of the rink. People are like, how'd they get that gig? So I'm there to tell you how they got that gig. And we go, you're Montreal. We talk to former WHA referee, longtime St. Louis Blues scout, and Montreal all-around awesome dude, Wayne Mundy. Wayne grew up in Montreal, went to Habs games as a kid, ended up reffing in the WHA, became great friends with, the name escapes me right now, who ran the Hartford Whalers. He ends up scouting for years with the St. Louis, Larry Plow, who played for the Montreal Junior Canadiens, and Wayne were great friends. Larry went to Hartford. Larry eventually ends up in St. Louis and hires Wayne as a scout. And so Wayne tells me all kinds of great stories from the old Montreal Forum days, how he learned to bird dog players out of the Quebec League and things like that. And it's kind of cool because I know, like, the four of us probably think we know everything about hockey, but these scouts who get usually zero credit do know everything about hockey.
True.
I didn't want to know, how do you scout Connor McDavid, because the four of us could look at the ice and go, okay, sign Connor McDavid. I want to know, how do you find Antoine Roussel, who's not drafted to the Quebec League, who's not drafted to the National Hockey League, but who plays 600 games in the NHL, right? So we set out to do that through funny stories and anecdotes. It's the next one to bookstores and Amazon and everywhere you order fine books, October 21st. There's a plug, boys.
Boom.
I like
Doesn't
that.
get any better than that.
That's amazing.
No.
There's also your other book too, Hometown Hockey Heroes, that I am going to purchase one of those as well.
You're going to love Teapot. Teapot is the epicenter of Hometown Hockey Heroes. As much as I loved the Montreal Canadiens when I was a kid, I loved the Junior C Pictou Mariners. Teapot had a mustache like Anthony and could score like Lafleur. It was beautiful.
And can you score like Lafleur? No, don't even answer that. Nope. Ken, from the bottom of our hearts, we can't thank you enough for giving us your time today. This was absolutely amazing. Believe it or not, you're the second member from Sportsnet to join the Curfew Boys podcast. We had Eric Engels back after the 2021 Stanley Cup Finals, when Montreal unfortunately lost to the Tampa Bay Lightning. Eric Engels was very kind enough to come on and give some of his thoughts of the season. Obviously, the challenge throughout COVID, and then the hope that this actually was a bit before the rebuild started, but the hope of, like, some of the younger core would learn from those playoff experience. So yeah, you're the second member from Sportsnet. So
well, every time I've gone to Montreal to work a game, couldn't ask for a better gentleman to show me around the field than Eric. He's just awesome. Like, I mean, when you go, and I don't care how long you've been in TV, when you go into a new arena, you don't know your way around. So thank you, Eric, and thanks for showing me the ropes. So yeah, it's been awesome, boys. Love talking hockey with you.
One last question, actually, just
truly appreciate it.
One last question, for future broadcasters who are probably listening to this and have hopes that they want to get there one day. Do you have a piece of advice for these guys or ladies or whoever? Just a piece of advice.
Study medicine. No. Always follow your passions. Work hard. You can have passion, but if you don't work hard, do what you guys are doing. Get in front of microphones, talk to people. Get in front of cameras, talk to people. Take any job in the industry that you can. Do that job to the best of your ability, and hopefully another one will open up for you and you can climb the ladder. And for all the young people out there, old man advice, put your phone down and look people in the eye. Even though I'm looking a phone in the eye right now, that's somewhat ironic.
I absolutely love it. That's just perfect way to end it. Ken, thank you so much. A big thank you to our audience who tuned to this episode on YouTube. Once again, like and subscribe. It's absolutely free. Apple Podcast, Spotify. Give us an honest rating and review. Thank you to our sponsors, Sunil from Habs Cave and Mike's Barbecue Rub. Ken, who can find you where on social media? You can find you on Instagram. Do you have Twitter? What do you got?
I'm on Twitter at SN, as in Sportsnet, SN Ken Reid. And I'm on Instagram at Ken Reid Sportsnet. So if you like to look at Instagram videos of old hockey and baseball cards, I'm your Huckleberry, and I'll give you some honest feedback for this episode. Ken Reid sucks.
Absolutely not, dude. Do not listen to what Ken Reid says about himself at this particular moment. Ken, once again, thank you so much. Like we couldn't ask for anything better right for today. Obviously, Chris, Anthony, guys, thank you so much for doing this.
Until
Thank
next
you,
time.
boys.
Truly appreciate it, Ken.
My
Take
pleasure.
care. Habs fans all
Boys.
around the world, thank you so much. We'll see you all in the next episode.
Bye now.
Bye now.
No.